The white, rich, and beautiful fiancée Mary fell in love with a poor guy and insisted on breaking off our engagement. I kindly advised her that man is a liar and not suitable for you. However, she held a grudge and pretended to marry me. But after the wedding, she moved out to live with that poor guy for 10 years. My mom caught them in bed, which infuriated her. Then she drugged me, took all my assets, and eloped with the poor guy abroad. After being reborn at the engagement banquet, my fiancée cried out that she wanted to marry the poor guy. Her father, furious, reached out to slap him. I stopped her father and said, "Uncle Jis, since Mary likes him, let's call off the wedding. As long as Mary is happy with this man, that's all that matters." I died in the wedding house that I personally designed and decorated. My wife Mary, who had been separated from me for 10 years, looked at me with a hint of satisfaction on her face. I curled up on the floor, clutching my stomach and gasping for breath, yet still unwilling to give in. As I raised my head to ask her why, I have known Mary since we were children. After growing up with the matchmaking of both our parents, we successfully got engaged. In the 10 years of our marriage, besides giving her a large sum of company dividends every year, I have also gifted her many pieces of jewelry. Whatever she asks for, I am willing to deliver it to her. Even though in these 10 years we have been living apart, Mary slapped my face madly and said triumphantly, "Do you want to know, George? If it weren't for you, I would have married Tom a long time ago and become his wife. But because of what you said, Dad didn't agree to us being together. It's you, it's all your fault. Do you think this can separate us? No, you're wrong. Let me tell you, you fool. I've been living with Tom for the past 10 years. Do you know how your mother died? It was because of you. If it weren't for what you said, I wouldn't have had an affair with Tom, and your mother wouldn't have found out. 3 months ago, after my mom learned about my separation from Mary, she went to see her with some health soup, hoping to persuade her to move back in. But unexpectedly, she suffered a sudden cerebral hemorrhage and fell down the stairs, dying on the spot. I glared at her, a wave of metallic sweetness rising in my throat, my vision filled with blood. In the last second before my consciousness faded, I heard Mary's joyful voice, "I got the stamp. He's dead. I'm going to transfer the assets now, and then we'll go abroad, starting over in a place where no one knows us, baby." When I opened my eyes again, I'd been reborn back to the day of the engagement at the banquet. Everyone stopped, their gazes fixed tightly on Mary, who was kneeling on the ground. Confusion and doubt were in their eyes. Just moments ago, Mary's father had announced the engagement news with a beaming face. Yet she knelt before her father with a man, declaring that she already had someone she liked, refusing to be engaged to me publicly. Embarrassing her father said to Mary with an awkward expression, "Even if you argue with me, don't make such jokes. Hurry up and complete the engagement ceremony." She held Tom's hand, and the two gazed at each other romantically, then looked firmly at her father. Tom babbled on about how he and Mary were truly in love, that he would treat her well, and hoped her father would support them. I stood there, yet I could hear nothing at all because everything before me was exactly the same as in my past life. In my previous life, she appeared at the engagement party with Tom, pleading with her father to support her. I merely said out of kindness, "Mary, if you don't want to, I can cancel this engagement party. But this man is a liar, not suitable for you." Just because of that sentence, she hated me for 10 years. Mary has been pampered since childhood, a true example of a rich and beautiful girl. I have been like a knight guarding her since I was 19. Whatever she desires, I find a way to provide it for her. From designer handbags in her teenage years to expensive jewelry in adulthood, the JIS Group was originally just a third-rate company. But with my help, it managed to survive, and Mary, as a result, became the center of attention in the high society circle. Everyone in the circle says that I love Mary to death. Do I love her? I don't even know myself. At first, I just wanted to protect her. The first time I saw Mary was on the day my dad died in a car accident. I was only 17 then. While my mom cried herself to sleep from exhaustion, I dared to sit alone in the corner and cry. I knew that from that moment on, I would be the pillar of the family, so I absolutely couldn't show any signs of weakness. A girl in a pink dress squeezed through a narrow gap in the backyard, her clothes smeared with green leaves and spring mud, looking a bit disheveled. She blinked her beautiful big eyes and cautiously reached out her hand to stroke the top of my head. "Same brother, why are you crying?" I replied, "I don't have a dad anymore." A hint of disappointment flashed in her eyes. I don't have a mom either. Brother, don't cry. Our maid said that when people die, they fly up to the sky and become stars, watching over us. Look at that star above you. It must be your dad. He's watching over you. I looked up, following her finger. Sure enough, in the cloudless sky, a star was twinkling right above my head. After that, she would often come to find me. Until 6 months later, she never came again. I searched for a long time but couldn't find her. In my first year of college, Mary appeared. Although 2 years had passed, as the saying goes, a girl changes greatly at 18. I could still recognize her features that resembled those from before. When I stood in front of her and asked why she had disappeared for so long, Mary looked at me, smiled awkwardly, and said that she later found out I was the sole heir of the Venus Group and was worried that I would look down on her family for being just a third-rate company, which is why she hadn't come to find me. A sense of affection arose in my heart. Young love is always impulsive. Moreover, at that time, I was young, without a father's guidance, and didn't understand much. I always followed behind Mary, wanting to protect her. Upon learning that she often skips breakfast, I ride my bike every morning to the prestigious school across the street to deliver breakfast to Mary. She said her roommates tease her for not having limited edition bags, so I gave her one of my spare cards and asked someone to find a way to buy all the limited edition bags from luxury brands abroad to send to her. She was very happy. It felt like I had found a way to make her happy, and every year the new luxury items would be delivered to Jig House. When my friends found out that I had never even held hands with Mary, they laughed and called me AS. In our circle, even though we are young, simple gestures like holding hands and hugging do happen. I didn't say anything, but I felt a bit uncomfortable. When Mary found out, there was a hint of impatience in her eyes. She said she was a conservative girl, which is why she acted that way. Unlike us, I took her words to heart, and my discomfort vanished in an instant. Later, at the engagement banquet, she appeared with Tom and pleaded with her father to marry him. But I had seen Tom before. He had once deceived my brother Gary's sister. For him, she gave all her monthly living expenses to Tom and even sold many pieces of jewelry from her home. When Gary found out, he was furious and beat him up. With me at that time, he was also kneeling on the ground like today, claiming to be sincere with Gary's sister. But the Gary family is not to be trifled with. After several threats, Tom indeed cut all ties with Gary's sister, Naa, and dared not pursue her again. I never expected he would end up with Mary. Mary, do you dare to betray my brother? Hearing Gary's voice, I immediately came to my senses and looked at the two kneeling on the ground, remembering everything Mary did in my past life. A surge of hatred welled up inside me. I wished I could strangle her right then and there, but I knew that was all in the past. It hadn't happened yet, and I wasn't going to ruin my life over these two. Having lived again, I naturally wanted to live well. As for Mary, didn't she want to marry Tom? I wanted to see how they would fare in this life without me in the middle. Mary was overflowing with vanity, and Tom was a downright liar. They were quite the match. Just as I was about to speak, Gary shouted at me angrily, "Damn it, if you forgive this, there's no point in being brothers." Dina, standing behind him, tugged at Gary's sleeve, signaling him to stop talking. Gary was furious, staring at me but remained silent. Mary's father looked around at the various disdainful and scrutinizing gazes, his face turning red with anger. After glancing at me, he reached out as if to slap Mary across the face. Slap. After the crisp sound of a slap, I reached out and lightly grabbed her father's arm. "Uncle Jis, since Mary likes him, let's call off the wedding. As long as Mary is happy with this man, that's all that matters." As my voice fell, Tom instantly sighed in relief. The others looked at her father with even more disdain, and some even greeted my mom before preparing to leave. Her father was completely panicked. The JIS group was just a small company now. If it weren't for me, these people wouldn't even bother with him. His desire to break into the circle was naturally shattered. Mary scoffed at me disdainfully and said, "Don't think that this will make me grateful to you. At least you know your place. Otherwise, I would definitely make things difficult for you." Tom looked at me, clearly recognizing me, and a flicker of hatred crossed his eyes as he pulled Mary's hand and shouted at me, "George, don't think I don't know you want Mary to have feelings for you and then threaten me to leave her. Aren't you just a little richer than me? What's so great about that?" He then said to Mary's father, "Uncle, don't worry. I will treat Mary well, and we listen to you. I promise you the JIS group will definitely surpass the Venus group in the future, and we will make everyone take notice of us." Although our father did not believe it, a hint of emotion flashed in his eyes. Like Tom, he was originally just an ordinary worker who unexpectedly married the boss's only daughter. Not long after their marriage, that woman died in childbirth, which led to the establishment of the JIS group. He had also faced disdain in the circle. "Forget it. I can't interfere in your young people's matters, George. This matter is our JIS family's fault towards you. If you don't mind, I can take you as my godson. Even if you and Mary are fated to be apart, you can still watch over her often in the future." A hint of disgust flashed in Mary's eyes. "Dad, he usually likes to follow me around like a dog, and I can't get rid of him. Now you want to take him as your godson? That's even more annoying. Besides, what if he keeps bothering me after I'm married to Tom?" Looking at the two of them with their condescending expressions, I curled my lips. "Are you overthinking this? Do you think you're worthy of being my godfather? Even if the Gigi's group is a third-rate company and can't compare to the assets of my Venus group, you still have enough money to buy a mirror, right? Even if you don't have a mirror, you can always take a piss. You can still see yourself. Want to be my dad? Who do you think you are?" Her father was so angry he nearly fainted. "Poof, you really are something, George. Since you're feeling better today, we'll take you to the club for a nice meal." Gary smiled and hooked his arm around my shoulder. "We are neighbors and grew up together. Thanks to the support from our families, we didn't get into trouble or bully others, but we weren't exactly pushovers either. I, being an only child, was spoiled from a young age and couldn't stand to hear any harsh words. Later, Mary often said that apart from having a bit of money, I had nothing else. I wasn't as good at studying as others, nor did I look as good as certain male stars. She also said she preferred someone steady. That's when I gradually toned down my brilliance. George, hurry up and apologize to my dad, otherwise I won't pay any attention to you anymore." Mary looked at me with a "he's giving you a way out, don't be ungrateful" expression. I was really puzzled. How could I have liked someone like her before? I had protected her for so many years. "Mary, what do you think you are? How dare you ask me to apologize to?" I said disdainfully, then I put my arm around Gary's shoulder. "It looks unappetizing. I'm not eating anymore. Let's go play. It's on me." I left without looking back. A few days later, I took my mom to a private hospital for a checkup. After the checkup, she unexpectedly ran into an old friend, and they chatted endlessly. I decided to wait for her in the car. Looking at the healthy values on the checkup report, I breathed a sigh of relief. In my past life, because of Mary, my mom passed away from a sudden brain hemorrhage at the age of 50 due to stress. So in this new life, I naturally hope for her to be healthy. Tom's voice came from outside the car window. "Mom, yes, I'm doing great right now. Don't worry. Tomorrow, have Dad transfer 30,000 yuan to me. I just started dating a new girlfriend, and her family is quite wealthy. Besides a sister that no one pays attention to, it's just her, and all her family's assets will be mine in the future. I promised to buy her a diamond ring." "What? No money? Then sell the sister. Didn't the eldest and second sister sell for tens of thousands to support my college?" "Okay, that won't happen. Once we're married, she'll have to listen to me." I curled my lips. The good show was about to begin. Tom hung up the phone and left. My mom looked at his triumphant back, clearly recognizing him, and looked at me with a worried expression. "George, do you still have feelings for Mary? Anlie just said she has a niece about your age. Why don't you two meet? Mary and you are not meant to be." I nodded. "Mom, don't worry about it. What's there to miss about a woman like that?" The phone notification sounded. It was from the supplementary card I gave to Mary. "Hello, you purchased a limited edition men's watch at the Rolex counter for $499,999. Hello, you purchased 2 wedding rings at the Cartier counter for $499,999. Hello, damn it. I had forgotten about it these past few days because I was worried about my mom's health. I hadn't cancelled the supplementary card for Mary, but I never expected she would continue to use this card. And most of these purchases were from men's items, clearly for Tom. The mall is right next to this private hospital. I greeted my mom and got out of the car alone. Just as I reached the entrance of the mall, I received a phone call. It was from the manager of the fragrance counter. Mary had spent $700,000 last month at the fragrance counter. Previously, the payments were settled monthly, and I would call the counter manager every month. But now, with the news of my breakup with Mary being common knowledge, the counter is naturally a bit worried about who will settle this amount. He didn't dare to offend Mary and was subtly probing me with his words. Whoever owes the money should pay. Do I look like a fool? After hanging up the phone, I suddenly remembered that over the years, the things I bought for Mary amounted to several times the assets of her small company. I immediately called my assistant. This money was inconsequential to me, but I would never let these two get away with it. As I walked into the mall, I saw Tom standing outside a counter, holding a dozen luxury shopping bags, looking quite pleased as he received envious glances from others. He occasionally glanced at the brand-new Rolex watch on his wrist, clearly looking like a wealthy young man. He is not ugly. Although he is not as good-looking as I am, he is tall and thin, and his features are quite delicate. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to attract both Dina and Mary consecutively in my past life. After I had been married to Mary for 2 years, I once saw him at a cocktail party. At that time, he had just started a small company and arrived at the event in a sports car. Because he didn't have an invitation, he was almost kicked out. I don't know what he said to the person in charge, but they quickly changed their attitude and let him in. He took out his phone and started taking pictures everywhere, seemingly unaware of the rules of the party. He was also wearing a watch worth over $1 million. His clothes were high-fashioned, but he still looked quite inexperienced. He even touched the thigh of a hostess as he passed by. Later, a partner told me that he had found a mysterious rich woman to support him. Looking back now, that mysterious rich woman must have been Mary. And I was undoubtedly the fool. As I walked over, Mary came out of the counter holding shopping bags. Upon seeing me, her eyes were filled with anger and disdain, as if to say, "You came to find me again. What do you want? I told you I'm getting married soon, so don't give me the stuff." I looked at the shopping bags in Tom's hands. Mary was furious. "Are you crazy? The things I bought? Why should I give them to you?" I sneered, "Your things charged my card. What kind of relationship do we have? You actually use my card. You don't even have the decency. Is it that your JIS family is in trouble?" Tom's expression changed, and he turned to Mary, asking, "Did you charge his card?" Mary looked at me, biting her lip, looking pitiful. "I just charged it by mistake. Besides, you're so rich. What's wrong with letting us spin a little?" Tom clenched his fists. "Mary, just made a mistake. It'll pay you back this money later." He gently patted Mary's head, as if to comfort her. "Don't worry. Your husband will pay this money back for you." As I watched the two of them about to stage a romantic and passionate scene, I felt a chill run down my spine. I clapped my hands and said, "You have guts. You earn $4,500 a month, and the things you spent on are worth $110,000. How are you going to pay that back?" I scoffed, "I will have my lawyer come over shortly. All the things I've given you over the years and the money you've spent, I want it itemized and returned to me." Mary's face changed dramatically. The assistant and the lawyer went to JIS house not long after. They took a list and almost emptied Mary's room. All these things were gifts from me, but there were still many missing. When Mary called, I was still driving. Her voice came through the receiver, choked with tears. "George, do you really want me to hate you?" I laughed sarcastically, "Don't give me that crap. 3 years ago, I let those things go because you comforted me back then, but for the last 2 years, you need to give me everything back." Mary had never heard me speak like that before. She was furious, crying, and shouted at me, "You will regret this, George. You will definitely regret treating me like this today. And sooner or later, you will beg me to come back." I hung up the phone. But I saw a figure lying on the ground at the crosswalk ahead. I immediately slammed on the brakes, opened the car door, and got out. Lying on the ground was a girl in a light blue dress. She was curled up in pain, her delicate face pale. I quickly picked her up and placed her in the back seat of the car. It was only when the car started again that I noticed my hands were covered in bright red blood. I didn't relax until the doctor came out and told me she had just fainted due to a sudden menstrual period and low blood sugar, and that it wasn't serious. After paying the medical fees, I left. After returning home and seeing the living room filled with stuff and a cash card, I felt a wave of relief. However, I didn't care for those things since they had been used by Mary. I had my assistant convert everything into cash and donate it. I was furious and called to scold me, accusing me of trying to get her attention. I immediately blocked her. Just a little while later, the assistant brought a wedding invitation. Mary and Tom are getting married. Gary showed me Tom's social media account, which had photos of the JIS family's villa. I forwarded it to a stranger's account. A few days later, Gary gleefully told me Mary has been kicked out of the JIS family and has severed her father-daughter relationship. I heard that Tom's parents suddenly arrived at JIS house and even stayed there at first. The JIS family endured it, and Tom agreed that once they got married, he would send them back. But unexpectedly, Tom's dad actually stole Mary's mom's underwear and was caught red-handed. The JIG family demanded that Mary break up with Tom and cancel the wedding. However, Mary disagreed, and in a fit of anger, she was kicked out along with Tom's family, and she declared that she would sever her father-daughter relationship. Tom's family disagreed with Mary and Tom being together after they found out. However, Mary was already over 2 months pregnant, and Tom's family didn't know what was going on but still agreed. They demanded that Mary provide a dowry of $300,000, claiming that it had already been announced in the village that their son was going to marry a wealthy girl from the city. Mary is feeling troubled. She didn't take anything when she was kicked out, and the money for the hotel during this time is from selling her wedding ring. I remembered that in my past life, Mary never lacked money until the day I died. Letter B. Tom didn't know that I was the one who called his parents. Not to be precise, I just sent back the wedding invitation that Tom gave me along with a few photos of the JIS family's villa to his hometown. Other than that, it has nothing to do with me. That I went to the hospital, and after learning that the girl had been discharged, I felt relieved and went home to help my mom relax. I signed her up for a travel group. She left early in the morning. When I returned to the villa, I saw a small figure squatting at the door. As I walked over, I realized it was the girl who had collapsed on the crosswalk that day. She was curled up in a corner and had already fallen asleep. I hesitated and gently tapped her head. Seeing that she didn't wake up, I had no choice but to carry her back to the villa. It wasn't until 2 hours later that she finally woke up. The moment her eyes opened, I felt an inexplicable sense of familiarity. They were very similar to Mary's, yet also different. The appearance was the same, but the expression was not. Mary was haughty, while she was timid, and one could see the kindness in her eyes at a glance. It was more like I shook my head. No, I must be overthinking it. Are you awake? Thank you, we almost said this at the same time. The atmosphere suddenly became a bit awkward. I had hardly interacted with girls even in my past life. During my 10 years of marriage to Mary, she only saw me as a resource when she needed them, and we hardly had much communication. The only time was when she took the initiative to call me, saying she would cook for me and wanted me to come back to the villa early. She also said she wanted to apologize for everything that had happened before. But on that day, she drugged me, and it was on that day that I died on the cold floor. Are you hungry? After a long silence, I was the first to speak. She shook her head and took out a stack of money from her canvas bag. The folded money was a mix of small and large denominations. Looking at the girl's almost faded skirt, I instinctively refused her. No need. She quickly lowered her head and stuffed the money into my hand. Thank you. This is for the medical expenses. Please accept it. After saying that, she jogged away from the villa. Gary said that Mary posted on her moments that she is getting married today at Tom's hometown. She also introduced me to the situation in Tom's hometown. In the mountains that stretch endlessly, there still isn't a single cement road. The village still consists of one-story flat buildings. The rooms are filled with garbage everywhere, and even the blankets have holes in them. I withdrew my gaze. Don't talk to me about her anymore. Everything was over. And now, inexplicably, I felt no hatred towards Mary, only disgust. Even so, I didn't want to do anything in this hard-earned second chance at life that would ruin my own future. The collaboration with the JIS family had long been severed. Mary's father had previously been arrogant and offended many small partners because of me. Now they were all pulling out their investments. The JIS family was no longer what it used to be. Do you know how Mary got that $300,000? Dina said she sold her sister. It's the daughter of JIS's ex-wife, younger than Mary. After JIS's wife died in childbirth, JIS brought Mary's mom to his home to keep others from knowing that Mary is an illegitimate child. They never let the girl go out when she was little. Later, for some reason, this girl was kicked out last year, living alone while working part-time and studying, staying in the urban village area. My heart skipped a beat as I remembered those eyes similar to Mary's. Didn't she go to Tom's hometown? How can she still sell? Oh, he's just a playboy, the son of a wealthy man who has taken a liking to this young girl. Mary gave him her sister's address and the door lock code. I heard he transferred $300,000 to Mary this morning. I immediately got up. Give me the address. By the time I arrived, the girl was already terrified upon seeing me. She cried and rushed into my arms. On the ground was a man with blood all over his head. I immediately called the police. The other party was fine. After learning the details, he looked at me, aware of his own guilt, and didn't say anything further. I put the girl in the car. Finally, I asked, "Were you 7 years ago?" "It was me, brother." I felt a mix of emotions in my heart, yet I did not find it hard to accept. It turns out it was never Mary, not in the past life either. I am relieved that the little girl in my memory has always been kind. I held her in my arms, and I could hear the girl's cries coming from my chest. I brought Lucy back to the villa. It's always unsafe for her to live alone. When my mom returned from her trip and saw Lucy for the first time, she told me not to play the stand and joke, which only exists in novels. I couldn't help but laugh and cry at the same time. Lucy is even kinder than I imagined, and everyone in the villa likes her very much. Every day when I come back from working late, there's always a light on in the living room, and she sits on the sofa waiting for me, sometimes even falling asleep. A month later, I asked her if she liked me. She blushed and nodded. I said, "I like you too." More than half a year later, Mary returned with the child and Tom. No matter how angry her father was, he had to accept it under her mother's persuasion. He was already old, and the only heir was Mary. Tom flattered Mary's father and mother every day, and before long, they handed the company over to Tom and gave the shares to Mary. However, Mary immediately transferred the shares to Tom, nearly driving her father to death with anger. The first thing Tom did after getting his shares was to bring his parents back. The JIS family was suddenly in chaos. The next time I saw Tom and Mary was at the mall where I was shopping with Lucy. Even though she said she didn't lack anything, I still wanted to give her the best. At this point, Mary had already become quite haggard. Her eyes no longer held the pride they once did, and her clothes were no longer all high-fashioned like before. However, upon seeing Lucy, her expression changed dramatically. She grabbed Tom's hand and wanted to leave. Tom was wearing a high-end suit, strutting confidently up to me. "Isn't this your style? Shopping with your girlfriend?" I didn't even glance at him and was about to head to the adjacent counter with Lucy, but no matter what I had my eye on, Tom would always snatch it up first, from an incredibly ugly watch to hundreds of outdated socks that had been hoarded in the counter for 5 years. Lucy seemed to know, giggling as she squeezed my hand. Mary looked at him with disdain, clearly aware of Tom's foolishness. It wasn't until I confirmed that the mall had no more of those leftover goods that I turned to take a look at Tom. He was holding shopping bags, and behind him was a group of cheerful salespeople. He looked at me smugly and said, "George, I've taken your favorite. You're not mad, are you?" I couldn't help but say, I always thought the Venus group had deep pockets, but I didn't expect. I looked at him in surprise and said, "What favorite? My taste isn't that peculiar." "Then you." "Oh, I only look at things I find ugly. Thanks for helping me pick out these ugly things, just like you. I forgot to tell you I bought this mall a few days ago." Lucy couldn't help but laugh. She looked beautiful when she laughed. The salespeople also couldn't hold back, clutching their stomachs and snickering. He spent over $4 million to buy these leftover goods that were set to be destroyed next month. What a fool. Tom, furious and embarrassed, slapped Mary across the face as soon as he saw the sarcastic smile at the corner of her mouth. Mary had never been hit by anyone in her life, and in that moment, the two of them got tangled up in the scuffle. Mary fell down the escalator. A few days later, I saw Mary at the company entrance. Her head was still wrapped in bandages. The look in her eyes was filled with regret. A sense of forbidding washed over me. Sure enough, she stepped forward, wanting to embrace me, but I managed to dodge just in time. I'm sorry, George. I'm sorry. You've been reborn too, right? That's why you agreed to break off the engagement. I was stunned. Mary had also been reborn. It seemed that fate was truly unfair. Even a murderer could be reborn. I wore my unmasked disgust on my face. Get lost. Go as far away as you can. Her shoulders shook, and tears began to fall. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was just confused for a moment. I didn't know Tom was that kind of person. I didn't know he would change after I took all your money and fled. Bro, that he would hit and scold me, causing me to fall down the stairs. George, I've already been punished. Indeed, she had also been reborn, but perhaps because she died later than I did, she was reborn after me. Her so-called misfortune and punishment were brought by Tom, but what about mine? I was deceived into protecting her for 7 years. In the end, what I got was 10 years of infidelity, separation, and emotional abuse, which drove my mother to death, and she even personally drugged me to kill me. I'm sorry. Can you forgive me? Can we start over this time? I promise I won't be like I was in my past life. I took a step back. Get lost. You make me feel sick. So you clearly know that girl isn't you. It's Lucy, right? After I got back that day, I had someone investigate the matter. It turned out that Mary had known all along that the girl was Lucy. A year ago, Lucy almost appeared in front of me, so she drove her away. What about in the past life? She must have known then, too. At first, she proposed to refuse the engagement, and I agreed. But then she came to me again, as if out of charity, saying she was willing to marry me on the condition of the cooperation contract with the JIS group. It wasn't me forcing her to marry me. Later, when I proposed divorce, she angrily yelled at me, I don't know why, but she was adamant about not getting a divorce. Now I understand what she wanted was money. Clearly vain, yet she insisted on putting on the airs of a young lady. Mary's eyes were frantic. Already know. Don't think you can deceive me again, Mary. She screamed, yeah, I knew it wasn't me a long time ago, but I just don't want to let go. You can only be mine, George. After you die, I will regret it deeply, regret it, but I have no choice. That Lucy simply. She went crazy, and I reached out my hand. Slap. Mary was stunned. This was the first time in my 2 lifetimes that I hit a woman, and it was the only time. You hit me for her, George. You think I'm dirty. Do you think Lucy is some good woman? Let me tell you, in my last life, Lucy was played to death by the son of a wealthy family. Did you know? Just one night, and she died. How dare she? How dare she take Lucy's place and enjoy everything, even causing her death? So what if that's the case? She will always be cleaner than you. You make me feel sick. You better not show up in front of me again, or I can't guarantee I won't kill you. After saying that, I drove straight back to the villa. It wasn't until I saw Lucy in the yard that I finally felt a sense of relief. I held her tightly in my arms. After that day, Mary came to find me downstairs in my company every morning. She even spread fresh flowers downstairs to confess her feelings to me. In my past life, I agreed to marry her, and she asked me to propose. I did as she requested, but she arrogantly looked down on me, saying the roses were too common. She said I was a mundane person, and besides having a little money, I was no better than anyone else. The assistant went down, but no matter what, he couldn't drive her away. It wasn't until her love confession video went viral online that Tom, with a pale and bruised face, roughly pulled her into the car. After that, I never saw Mary again. As for Tom, I often heard news about him keeping mistresses, selling off company shares, bringing uneducated uncles and relatives from the village, and in their flattery, he arranged for them to take leadership positions in the JIS group, which naturally led to discontent among the employees below. Before long, they all resigned and left. Tom didn't understand management, didn't understand products, and the products coming out of the factory were getting worse and worse, ultimately leading to customers experiencing skin issues after use. The board of directors united to dismiss him, which was made easier by the fact that he had previously sold 30% of his shares. Not only that, the JIS group suffered significant losses, all of which Tom needed to cover. At this time, JIS discovered that Mary's mother had cheated, and she immediately got a divorce, taking the little asset she had and leaving the country. Tom sold the villa of the JIS family and borrowed $500,000 from the bank, barely managing to pay off these debts, which prevented the board from taking him to court. Faced with enormous debts, he turned to the mountains with his parents, but not before taking along the already deranged Mary and her child. She would never be able to escape those endless mountains again. I received a letter from her. She spoke of all the bad things there, said she regretted it, asked me to take her back, promised she wouldn't be entangled with Tom anymore, and was willing to have children with me. I had the mailroom destroy all her letters, never to look at them again. Everything about her is no longer my concern. A year later, Lucy graduated from university, and we also got married. At this wedding, Lucy had no parents, and I only had my mother present. Originally, there were supposed to be 4 people, but only one was there. Yet it was not shabby. On the contrary, it was surprisingly grand. I specially booked a small island for the wedding. She deserves it. That night, Lucy sat on the carpet, obediently unwrapping the gifts. I remembered in my past life, on the night of our wedding, Mary packed her things and left. As soon as she came back, she said I was disgusting and rejected my touch. I curled up on the floor, clutching my stomach and gasping for breath, yet still unwilling to give in. I raised my head and asked her why. In the midst of emotions, Lucy's eyelashes fluttered slightly, and she asked me uneasily, "George, do you know who I am?" I nodded and brushed the stray hair from her forehead. "Yes, you are Lucy, my wife." "I used to. I just took someone else. George only likes you. Everything has passed, and I have also welcomed a new life. The light boat has already sailed over countless mountains.